There's this viral video. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's ridiculous. That's why it's viral. There's these two young men but they're adults, and so I don't know why they're fighting over this, but they're fighting over whether or not the witches in Wizard of Oz are princesses, right? And they're heated and yelling at each other, right? And that's what they're arguing about. And one of them in that viral video says, "What? Grow up, bro." That's his line. Grow up, bro. And how ironic it is. They're fighting over the Wizard of Oz, and he's telling him to grow up. But that's the title of this video, Grow Up, because that's what Paul's going to say. But not like in a mean viral way. He's going to say, you want to grow up. It's fine to be a new believer. You're like, okay, this is new to me. But you don't want to stay there. Why? You got to know the truth. Our last video, I gave you some tips on how to know God's word better. Because if you don't, based on what Paul's right, we'll see more this weekend on this, it's like, what if you're watching a video? I see them all over the place. They drive me insane. They say, hey, actually, God would say that it's better for you to live together before marriage because you really got to practice that. That's wisdom. You might hear that and go, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, actually. My friend was just telling me that. Okay. But if you know biblical truth, you know that that's a lie, right? Or it could be anything. What if I stood up there as a pastor and said, the Lord spoke to me and he said that you need to tithe or give 30% of your belongings to the church. 15% of those goes to the pastor. I don't know, something like that. Guys are doing that all the time, guys and ladies, and calling themselves pastors. And there's people like, okay, that makes sense. I'll sacrifice. I'll give. Giving's beautiful. Giving's in the Bible, but not that. That's a lie, right? I can give you so many examples that you have no idea are true or not. You're so easily swayed like a child when some dude in a trench coat says, I don't know if they have a trench coat on, when they're like, come here, I have some candy for you. And the kid's like, okay, I want Kit Kats, and they end up kidnapped because they're a child. Grow up and realize, I don't think so, buddy. And that's the same thing with our faith. If you don't know this, people are going to say, come here, I got something stupid to say, and you're going to believe it because you don't know it's true. And so God's word is critical for us to grow up. We'll see you this weekend.